We are coming towards the end and have resolutions be made. I just want to thank the organizers for this conference for inviting us, and we are glad to be part of this great delegation as our team leader, Honorable Kaluma, said, and we wish to congratulate the Parliament of Uganda for being bold enough to pass the bill against the group of alphabets. I want to borrow from our doctor the language. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so impressed about the theme of this conference that it is about the protection of family. I came across a quotation which said, and I'm going to use the 3 minutes well, that no society can maintain its coherence or existence without a place for tradition in education. And no progress would be possible if we had to begin afresh with each generation and could not stand upon the accomplishment of those preceding us, end of quote. Rejection of our culture is a denial of our identity. Rejection of our family values is rejection for the second important human right, and it is fundamental, not second in order, but one of the considered, and that is self-preservation. Self-preservation. What we are saying in Africa is that we are standing to preserve and for the preservation of our race. And anything that endangers our survival as a people must be resisted at all costs. My late father was a military officer in the Second World War. 10 years before he died, he came and joined me for breakfast in the morning, and he told me the following: "Son, as you grow to be an elder in this country, there are 3 things that matters you can die for. Number 1 is freedom. Free from any subjugation and enslavement by any other man, idea, or territorial power or hegemonic presentation of any kind." And he told me, "You fight it and achieve it with blood and protect it with blood." We are here in Entebbe to make sure that what our fathers fought for after the colonial powers in 70 years, we can maintain it by the same value they attach to it. Second thing my father told me was that we fight for dignity. We must be respected for who and what we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we must be respected by all forums, whether international or regional, that the voice of Africa matters, whether as a person, individual, or collectively as communities of Africa. We must fight for our dignity. This, again, we fought to achieve it with blood. We will protect it with blood. Thirdly, it is the right to self-preservation. It is said, and I wish to quote, that in all human societies, the family is a primary social unit. And as an institution, the family is older than that of religion or state. Children are born and nurtured in the family until such time as they grow into adults and found their own families, end of quote. This is the responsibility of family. We will not going to allow this We cannot outsource it from any organization or group of people. We stand in Entebbe today, men and women and children of freedom fighters in Africa, that we must protect what preserves our continent. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, because it is just comment, Mr. Chair, is that we want to speak to two issues as we come out of this conference. Number one, that we want to speak to the legislative steps by our respective parliaments in our own countries, that our legislation should be very clear about this matter and the stand of Africa. Some of the treaties sneaked and taken advantage of our African quest to develop their own continent must be revisited as a matter of human rights. We need to relook at it, and we would like all the lawyers to tell us just before we invoke the next state. I wish to thank the speaker on behalf of the Islamic community, faith-based. I was listening very carefully. And as a scholar and a theologian, I was listening to hear what one of the Abrahamic branch of faith in the world is saying. We form almost 60% of the total population of the world. Christianity commands 2.5 billion. Islam is more than 1.5 billion. And you talk of other religious groups which believes in heterosexual relations. We cannot sit and watch our faith being taken away from our families and our lives. We must rise up and inform the future of our people. So let us be bold in our countries. And as our leader of delegation stated, Kenya is following suit after Uganda or other countries. We are just about, and it will be unanimous in our parliament. It will be 95% or so. We have already begun the process, and we are soon going. The next thing that I want to mention as a recommendation, that this conference should speak to our continental bodies, organizations, and in this case, AU. We want our presidents to adopt a position of Africa in the international arena. The question of treaties brought to us because of inclusion of African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries tied to European Union is a deception, because these particular countries, majority of them are associated to the new imperialism setup, which was done many years after 1884 and 85. And because they speak English, in majority of them, and because they have been cultured to think in a certain way, we have been grouped together in a treaty that is going to deceive us into losing our own fundamental rights to preserve our families. We must not sign this document without separating it from the conditionalities. And we should stand for that. Finally, Mr. Chair, is that in terms of economic relationship, we don't run out of options. Running as our own continent and expand our own economic endeavors to make sure that we survive as a continent, we have resources enough. We have enough resources for us and our children. The reason why we don't enjoy them is that after independence, we have been led into civil war, murdered each other, overthrew government, grumbling economies. We must make a decision, the Africa in the future. We look at it in the angle this great lady said yesterday, the 2062 trajectory, that we want a prosperous Africa. Number two, we have no problem. If these conditionalities will deny us our rights, then we will work with other like-minded people in the world and survive as a continent. We run of no option. With that, Chair, I support the resolution towards that direction, and we must make it not beyond a communique as a statement, but it must be a resolution one from Africa, protect African values and African family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.